Hi, welcome to this edition of Shrewsbury Senior News. Today we're going to talk with Mary Gerber from the Memory Lane Cafe. We're going to talk with Ellen Dolan from the Shrewsbury Library about programs specifically for seniors. And we're going to talk with Angela Snell from the Recreation Department, talk about some great upcoming events. And as always, if there are so many things going on at the Senior Center, please drop in or give them a call and find out what's going on that would interest you. Lots of programs and lots of events and lots of classes, just great things to do. So we hope you enjoy this edition of Shrewsbury Senior News. Hi, I'm here today with Mary Gerber. She runs the Memory Lane Cafe at the Shrewsbury Senior Center.
Right.
Thank you for coming and sharing. This is a great program. Sounds like a great program. We want to learn a little bit more about that.
Sure.
First, how long has the Memory Lane Cafe been running?
We started it last October 2018, so it's still relatively new.
Okay.
But we are growing and having some success with it.
What prompted people to want to start a program like this?
The chairperson of the Council on Aging, Louise Russell, asked me to consider starting the cafe. Her mother had Alzheimer's disease, and this was a very important project for her.
Okay, so that leads to the next question. What is the Memory Lane Cafe exactly? What do you do, and what's the goal?
Sure. Well, a little history. Cafes started back in 1997 in Holland.
Oh,
A
okay.
clinical psychologist felt the need to have people with dementia not as isolated, and that included their caregivers too.
Sure.
Because there is a stigma when you go out in the community and you have dementia because people don't understand the disease. So this psychologist felt that these cafes could really help decrease that isolation.
Sure. And for caregivers too, I think that's a big piece of what little I know about what you do. I think that's a huge piece.
It is huge. In fact, the programs are as much for the care partners as they are for the person suffering from the disease.
So what do you do? What are the goals? And how do you achieve those goals with the cafes?
Well, the goals are really to just provide a normal social setting for these folks. So they come in, and at the Memory Lane Cafe, we start at 11 o'clock, and we gather around a living room type setting. We chat for about a half an hour. At 11:30, we go into the cafeteria, the dining room at the Senior Center, and people spend a half hour there having a very nice lunch. At noon, we schedule some kind of an activity, and that runs from 12 to 1.
Oh, wow. What kind of activities?
All kinds, but a lot of music, because that really is something that people with memory issues can relate to. But we've had travel logs, we've had people come in and do exercise. We're planning to have like drum circles.
Oh, that's interesting.
We're having a harpist coming up next month. So it really is a variety of activities.
Okay, I mean, all those, when you read about dementia and you read about exercise being a way that people can resonate, it resonates with people who are dealing with that issue, and music, certainly.
Yes.
There's been a lot written about how music, people who are having trouble remembering a lot of things, they'll remember a song from 40 years ago or something.
Absolutely. We also had Joyce Danielson come from Danielson Florist, and they did a floral arrangement.
Oh,
so
nice.
there's a real variety of things that can happen at cafes.
Well, that's great, because you're in a supportive setting, and you're really doing a lot of activities that not just maybe are designed to resonate with people with dementia, but would resonate with a lot of people, so it's like normal. It's just here. This is just the normal social setting. How and what kind of feedback do you get from care partners, if that's the right? Because that to me is the most interesting, frankly, the most interesting part to me, because I would think care partners end up being as isolated, or maybe more so, depending on who they are and what role they're playing, as the person who deals with dementia.
Yes, that's absolutely true. I think what I've heard the most from the group of folks that come to the Memory Lane Cafe is that it's the getting together that really counts. It's not as much the activity as just making friends, contact with people who are in a similar situation. And the group that comes to the senior center, they really have bonded nicely. And so that meal together, they can sit and chat what's happened over the last couple of weeks is very important.
That's right, because now this is every other week
Yes.
at the senior center,
yes.
and then the Memory Lane Cafe also runs at the library on alternate weeks?
The library is a separate cafe. It's called the Good Day Cafe.
Okay.
They are on the first and third Fridays of the month from 2 to 4. We're on the second and fourth Fridays of the month from 11 to 1.
Oh, great. So that it can fit into different people's
Yes,
schedule, too.
yes, right.
Who primarily, or maybe there are a couple of different groups, who are the care partners that come? Are they family members, or do they tend to be people, personal care attendants, or people from home nursing agencies, or congregations? Who makes up, in general,
Right.
the care
It
partners?
can be any of those, but the guests that come to the Memory Lane Cafe are primarily spouses,
Oh, okay.
siblings,
Sure.
yeah,
Children of?
children, yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, that must be very helpful then, that if your spouse is dealing with this, you're lost. Often as a spouse. It's like, what do I do, and how do I deal with that? Or a child. I think that's one of the most difficult pieces
Yes.
for a child or a spouse, is when you're slowly but surely the person is moving away.
Deteriorating.
Yeah, moving away in a sense.
Yes.
And that's so hard. I find dementia altogether as one of the more difficult conditions to deal with because of that.
It is a very debilitating disease.
And so difficult for people around you. I mean, it's one thing.
Yes.
It's hard enough if your spouse has cancer or is dying from a different physical, if you will, disease. But to not be physically dying so much as disappearing.
Mentally, yes.
That, I think, is just, so this kind of program is just, it's got to be so helpful to the care part. And that was really
Yes.
my impetus, to talk with you about that. Because for them, I would think this is a tremendous, I mean, it's great for the person with dementia too.
Yes.
But for the care partner, this has to be a tremendous resource.
You're right on there.
Wow, that's great. Well, you do great work, and I appreciate your coming in. Anybody who's interested in attending or learning more should call the senior center?
That's right. Call the senior center, and if you do want to join us, just RSVP, because we do serve that meal. We'd like to know how many people are coming.
Sure, okay. And if that schedule isn't as good as the library schedule, I'm sure they could call the Shrewsbury Library to find out about their Memory
Absolutely,
Lane Cafe
yes.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me, Matt.
No. And we'll be right back. Hi, I'm here with Ellen Dolan, Director of the Shrewsbury Public Library. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt.
Wanted to talk a little bit about libraries and your libraries in particular, your library in particular. And you've got some really great programs directed toward more mature adults, perhaps, let's put it that way. And one of which is the Good News Memory Cafe.
The Good Day Memory
Good Day
Cafe.
Memory
Yep,
Cafe.
very good. Yeah, so that's a cafe that meets the first and third Friday of the month, every first and third, and it runs from 2 to 4 p.m. And it's a place where people with dementia or and their caregivers can meet and know that there's social fun together, that people understand and want to have some, relaxed enough that we all can enjoy each other, enjoy some activity. Usually some food and conversation. So we've been going on for about 2.5 years. The first 2 years were funded by a federal grant, and this year the predominance of our costs are funded by a grant from the Greater Worcester Community Foundation. And basically, it's just the opportunity for anyone who's dealing with any form of dementia and their care partner to have a place where they know that they'll have some fun together, they'll get out into the community, socialize with others, and also know that others will understand, and they'll won't have the pressures that might come from going places where there's not that level of understanding. We often have an activity, whether it's a music program, a craft program. This coming program on April 5th, we have a wonderful program called Ageless Grace, which is kind of a meditation exercise program, seated. And it's run by Amy Podolsky, and we've had her in the past, and she was really well received by our group.
Oh, great. So the types of activities that would attract anybody, but everybody who's there understands that they're dealing with one specific
We actually
kind
have
of
a couple
condition.
people come who are not facing memory issues, but really enjoy the interaction they share with others, and want to help support the program. So it is open to anybody, but it's very much focused on ensuring that those who are in their homes who might become isolated because of dementia with one partner or the other have a place where they know they can go, and there's other folks who are dealing with the same issue. And one of the key elements of it is that caregivers find a lot of support from each other, just having a chance to talk, relax,
To me, that's the key.
That's
'Cause
right.
if your spouse or your parent is dealing with dementia,
Right.
you must get to feel overwhelmed and isolated.
Right.
And how do you deal with all
Yeah, and
that?
sometimes the habits or the activities or behavior of a person with dementia might be hard to explain to someone if they didn't understand dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that. Our staff, all the staff in the library, have been trained on dementia-friendly activities and understanding how to best communicate with someone who might be suffering from dementia. But we also have just people who are running our cafe. Christina Zarobi, who's our coordinator, Priya Rathnam and I. Priya Rathnam is our assistant director, and we all attend the cafe, and we're very motivated about this program, that we think it's an important way to extend the range of library use by people in our community.
Oh, I think it's a marvelous
right.
idea. It's a marvelous idea. And then you've got a program that I also think is marvelous, where grandparents, parents, and children can play together.
That's right.
So-
Before I go on to that, though, Matt, I want to remember this. The senior center now has a cafe.
Oh yes, thank you.
Right.
Yes.
So it's great because it's on the opposite Fridays. So it's the second and fourth. And they meet during lunchtime hours, so you have a nice lunch together, and then they do some kind of activity. So people who attend our cafe often now attend that one as well.
Sure.
So just want to put
No,
plug
thank you
in.
for that. That's great. That's great.
So the other thing we're talking about is the library's new focus on creative play for children through a federal grant we received based on a concept called Mind in the Making, which is research that's been done recently about the way children learn. And one of the key elements is creative play, undirected play, where they can use their imaginations, they can play in their own way, interact with others, interact with parents and grandparents. So we're developing some play spaces in our children's room, both in our play area in the children's room and outside in the courtyard, where we really would encourage parents to check this out and grandparents to check. We know there are a lot of
Granduncles. Yes.
granduncles. We know there are a lot of grandparents who are doing daycare for their children. This is a great place to spend some time, get their grandchild enjoying this. But also, there's a number of programs they might want to participate in with their grandchildren in the library.
I think that's great. People my age, we used to be, all right, we'll see you at dark.
Yeah.
Come back in time for supper. Or,
Yeah, right.
the parents would ring a bell, and you came
Yes,
from wherever you were in the
right.
neighborhood.
That's right.
And you created your own play.
That's right.
And that
yeah.
doesn't happen. That hasn't happened for a
It's
generation.
harder. There's safety and security issues for children. There's competition of all the screens we have in our lives, the activities that children are in. But when children are very young, research shows it's pivotal to let them play in an undirected way.
Yeah, I think that's true.
yeah.
And they can play with their granduncle or
Yeah,
grandparent.
that's right.
You can tell I'm a granduncle.
Yeah.
Yes, and then before I forget, you have a book sale.
That's
coming
right.
up.
We have our book sale. So this is the Friends of the Library organization holds an annual book sale. This is their key fundraiser of the year. It is running Thursday, April 4th through Sunday, April 7th, so coming up pretty quick. It's a great way to get some books, videos, DVDs, not VHS, DVDs, some games, lots of children's books at a good cost, but also support the Friends of the Library. That organization funds the predominance of our program.
I was going to ask you, what the Friends of the Library do?
The most important thing they do that people might recognize is they fund all those wonderful programs you see at the library. About $25,000 a year they fund in programming. And their major fundraiser is that book sale each year.
Okay. Okay. But they're active with other things through the course of the year as well.
Yes,
so if
right.
somebody is interested in supporting their library,
Yes,
Shrewsbury or any
exactly.
library.
They can, for $5,
joining
they
the
can become a
Friends.
member of the Friends of the Library and help support us.
Oh, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And you have some new staff people, as
Yes.
we've got about a minute left. So
Okay,
let's,
yes. 3 new staff members in the past year or so. So Sonia Drotar is our head of Children's Services, came to us from Oaks Bluff Library. We have Annie Lee King, who is our new young adult and librarian and volunteer coordinator, came to us from Wellesley Public Library. And Suzanne Gorham, who is our new reference librarian. People see her on the second floor at the reference desk, and she came from Las Vegas.
Oh,
So,
that's great.
A variety.
That's great. So
yeah.
introduce yourself as when you go in, and
That's right.
And then I have to give my pitch. One of the things I'd love to see communities all around New England do is spend a little bit more of their resources on purchasing books.
Books, yes.
Books. That's many of us still like books.
That's
And
right.
how many books do you go out?
We loan about 500,000 items a year.
So
that go
other
out.
people like books too.
Lots of people like books. and
That's
we're-
great to
right.
hear, and I hope communities everywhere listen to that. It's a great resource. Libraries are used by many of us, and more people seem to be, I think,
Yes.
returning to using libraries for
Right.
one thing or another.
Right.
Some for computers, some for reading
Right.
online.
Children's programs,
But
so
many of
forth.
us
Yeah.
still love books.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
great. Well, thank you for
Okay,
coming and
Matt.
sharing all this information with us
Thank you
today.
very much. Okay.
And we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us. Today, my guest is Angela Snell, Director of Public Facilities for the town of Shrewsbury. Thank you for joining me and talking about, in particular today, you have a lot of responsibilities, but today we want to talk about programs and events with the Park and Rec Department.
Yes, well, thank you for having me today.
So you've got some exciting things. We're talking spring and summer.
Yes.
Let people get it in their, their schedules, what's going on,
Yep.
or in their minds at least, what's going on.
Right.
And so what is coming up this spring and summer?
Well, the first thing that comes up is Town Cleanup Day, which is in the spring. That's on Saturday, April 6th.
Okay.
So now that all the snow is starting to melt, this is a good time to you can join with your neighbors or your friends or a church group and get assigned a location and help clean up, all the stuff that's hidden in the snow that
Okay.
appears. There's a lot of trash, unfortunately, that collects over the winter, and we supply trash bags and gloves, and then you guys pick it up, and then we'll come around and pick up the full bags and get
Oh,
rid of
great.
it.
All
So
right.
kind of a way to spruce up the town.
Oh, that's a
after
great
the winter.
community effort. That's
Yes.
great.
Yep.
And then what else is going on?
So after that, we gear up into Memorial Day. So that's a big event in town.
Okay.
On Monday, May 27th is the annual Memorial Day Parade and services. Our department works with some of the veterans organizations in town to organize that. The parade starts at the town hall. It goes to the center of town in front of the War Memorial.
Okay.
That's where we have the services, and then it continues into Mountain View Cemetery. So the bands are involved, the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We welcome any veteran to march in the parade. Town officials are there. We try to get a flyover. Sometimes we do. It all depends on the weather, and if the local Air National Guard's available. Sometimes they're overseas and can't do
Sure,
it,
yeah,
but we're aiming for that.
And what time does that start?
So the parade actually starts at 9:30 from the town hall, but if you want to march in the parade, we ask that you get there at like 8:45, 9 o'clock to get into formation, and we line everybody up from there.
Okay, well, that's great. It's nice that you're doing something around Memorial Day.
Yes.
Not every town has been able to do that over the last decade
we've been
or so.
pretty good about sticking with the tradition of keeping it on Monday, which is nice.
Yes,
So,
yes,
yeah.
I think that's great.
Yep.
And then after Memorial Day,
So then, after Memorial Day, my favorite event is Kids Equipment Day. We're actually turning it into Kids Equipment Day DPW Open House because Parks and Rec is now in the DPW. So we're going to focus. This is an open house at the Highway Garage, which is on 211 South Street. So we have all the town equipment, the sand trucks, the tractors, the backhoes. You can come and see all the equipment up close.
Oh,
kinda
kids
learn
love
it. Yes,
that.
kids
Yes,
love it.
yes.
Adults love it too.
Well, I suppose, yes. That's,
Sometimes the adults love it more than the kids. So you can climb on the trucks, take pictures, find
can't
out
take
about...
them home with you guys.
Can't take 'em
no,
home.
can't take them home.
We will give you a ride in one of the trucks around the back. So that's on Saturday, June 1st, and it's from 9 to 1. South Street Garage is 211 South Street. We've also teamed up with New England Public Works Association. It's called Fill the Truck. So we do a toiletry drive for St. Anne's Human Services.
Oh,
so we
okay,
have one of the trucks parked out at the event, and if you could bring like toilet paper or paper towels or dish soap, we collect all that day, and then we bring it to St. Anne's as another community service
Oh,
project.
that's great. And people have been associated with food pantries. and
Yes.
people forget,
The
or
other
they don't
stuff.
think of food pantries. I mean, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're supplying food, but and WIC does some good things,
Right.
and there are other organizations that tend to provide more food, but things like paper goods,
Right. Yep.
and toilet paper.
Right.
I don't know if you're collecting diapers, but with my grandniece, we take care of
Yeah.
our grandniece sometimes now. The cost of baby wipes and diapers is out of sight.
Right, right.
And paper towels and toilet paper,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, toilet paper's a necessity.
Yeah.
And it's expensive.
Right. Right.
So anything like
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
can people bring diapers and
Yeah, I'm sure they would take that as well.
That-
So
that's
last
it.
year we filled up a 2-ton dump truck, so we
Oh,
hope to
how
do that
great.
again this year.
Oh,
so,
that's
which is great.
And I really, people don't realize just how expensive and how important
Right,
that is.
right.
Unless you have a
Yeah.
baby, in which
Yep.
case you really know how
Right.
expensive diapers and baby wipes have gotten, or anybody.
Yeah.
You need
Right,
toilet
right.
paper,
Yep.
and it's
and
not,
it goes right, towards the community here in Shrewsbury,
Yeah,
which is
that's
nice.
great.
Yeah.
That's super.
So, yeah.
All right.
Then after that, then we gear up into summer concerts.
Ah, that's
Everyone's
my other
favorite, yeah.
Yes, that's my other favorite. Love the concert.
Yes. So this year we have 2 summer concerts planned. We actually team up with the Friends of the Public Library, so we both promote the concerts and work together on that. The first one's Wednesday, July 17th, The Beatles for Sale. That's always a
Yeah, I was
popular
going to say,
band.
I was there last year.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yes.
Yeah, they
so
were
we're having
great.
them back. They have so many songs to choose from. And then the second concert is August 7th. It's also a Wednesday. It's the Tom Nuttall Big Band is going to
great.
play. So it'll be different.
I like that
Yep.
too.
So
Yeah,
that'll
that's-
be that one's going to be at 6:30, and so they're both at Dean Park at the bandstand.
Mm-hmm.
If for some reason we have bad weather, we move them into the library. We'll have them at the library. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So they're always going to be on that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That'd be a trick with the Beatles group in particular,
Yes.
because I was there last year.
I
and
know
there were a
it'll
lot
be a
of people.
tight location, but so
But
yeah.
the great concert, and
Yeah.
I like big band music on
Yeah.
occasion still
yeah.
too.
So it should be fun.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's super.
So we have 2 other events that we're working on. We haven't finalized the dates yet, but one is going to be a Frisbee dog show. That's going to be sometime towards the end of school. They come out to Oak Middle School and they do tricks with the dogs, so you can watch it at the football field. So that we'll have that posted on our website. And the other one is a movie night, outdoor movie night.
Oh,
so
that's
we get
nice.
a big inflatable movie screen, and we'll play a movie. That'll be sometime in the end of August. So
Oh,
we're just
nice.
kind of finalizing the details on that. So
Oh, that's great. That's
yeah.
Again, that's a fun
Yeah,
community thing.
get
Come
people
out and
outside
grab
and-
something
yes,
to eat on a nice
right.
night. It's beautiful, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
That's great. Well, everybody, for information, they can do what to get
Yeah,
refresher
so-
on the dates or
Yes,
whatever.
so if you, there's a couple ways. You can go to the town website, and we're under Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
You can sign up for our listserv. We send out news flashes about when these events are
great.
coming up. We're also on Twitter and Instagram. and that's at Shrewsbury Parks.
Okay.
And then you can follow us there. We'll post pictures and announce the events on that as well.
All right, great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and
Thank
sharing
you.
all that information. I'm excited about the conscience, and
Yes.
I see a real need with the collection of toilet paper, paper towels,
Yeah,
diapers,
good.
and wipes at your other
Right.
events. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.